and welcome once again to another episode of Once More with Feelings. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Beth. You know when a movie leaves you laughing or crying and then you're left with the need to talk about it? That's what this podcast is about. Exploring how these things take us on a wild emotional roller coaster. We'll discuss how it made us feel, maybe how it challenged our perceptions, and even changed us a little bit.
Yeah, the movie that we're talking about today is Dave, the 1993 Ivan Reitman film. This one, definitely, my feelings towards it has changed from when I saw it years ago to now. And it has a lot to do with our political climate of today.
Absolutely. That's all I could think during this movie.
It made me so frustrated and stressed out in the sense that there's so much potential and we are squandering it. Literally the tagline, and I'll let you do the IMDb thing, but the tagline for this movie was, in a country where anybody can be president, anybody just did. And once upon a time, that made me happy. And now it no longer does.
I understand the sentiment. I understand why it frustrates you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me get to the IMDb so that we get that out of the way. It's an uncanny presidential lookalike named Dave is recruited by the Secret Service to become a momentary stand-in for the President of the United States. And that is pretty much the nutshell.
Yeah. It starts as a temp job.
Right.
And ends up being a little bit more. I mean, still a temp job, but a little bit more.
So I want to kind of go to the point that you had something, it's a feeling that pervaded throughout the film for me that did not before.
Mm-hmm.
When I first watched it, it's a long time ago, obviously in 93, probably 94 is when I saw it.
Yeah.
I know I did not see it in the same light.
Oh, God, no. I was never as political as I have been in the past 10 to 15 years of my life. And so in 93, oh no. I was 19.
I was freshly out of the military.
Yeah,
I was political in the sense that I wanted to make sure people got paid what they were supposed to.
I was moving out of my family's home and moving to California where I would then meet you.
Right.
So I was not thinking about how much this, I mean, to a little bit, of a degree, I did think about, that's nice. Anybody can be president. And when I was younger, I did not look at this movie the way I am looking at it now. When I was younger, I saw a funny little Kevin Kline movie with Sigourney Weaver, sweet little love story. That was what I was mostly focused on, was a cute little love story. And it reminded me of another movie, which then turned out in my research, it was intended to mimic, which was Moon Over Parador. It kind of reminded me of that. But now it definitely gives me a totally different feeling, a different flavor, especially the political aspects of the movie. I didn't focus on that when I was younger, where this time that is what stood out the most for me.
When I saw this movie before, I was fairly naive, even though I'd kept my eyes on political situations, because when you're in the military, you keep a vigilant eye on the political discourse and on the news that is coming through. In fact, a lot of our ranks are given through testing.
Mm-hmm.
So when I took my test through Staff Sergeant and then Tech Sergeant, those are questions that are asked.
Yeah.
That's part of your process, is being asked if you understand the political discourse that's happening, and they may ask you major events, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I still had an enjoyment of this film back then because I was seeing it as someone who is obviously still very naive to a world, because I was living in quite a bit of privilege.
Mm-hmm.
I had no real worries in my life. I didn't have the issues I have now.
Yeah.
And I think as you get older, everyone gains issues. I gained a few more than some. Those issues being ones of losses of privilege, maybe having your eyes open to a political system which is not in your favor. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So when I see it now, I'm seeing it as the entire situation as I'm seeing someone impersonating, or that's not even the issue. It's not even the issue that Dave is impersonating the president.
No.
My issue is circumventing an election.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this is. Because we elected, in the story, we elected Bill Mitchell.
Yes.
To be president. Even if he was a schmuck. Even if he was bad at his job. Even if he was a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, they could prosecute him for in this because he wasn't giving immunity for being a criminal while president. So when I see it, that's what I'm thinking the entire time. No matter how nice Dave is, no matter how nice the people around, except for Bob Alexander, the chief of staff.
Yes.
No matter how nice everyone around them are, they are all complicit.
Into this lie.
They're all complicit in the lie and the criminal act of circumventing the 25th Amendment.
Yes. So let's go into the...
That's my soapbox.
No, because there's so much wrong. And this is going to be one of those movies where we are, as much as we endear... I did not go into watching this movie thinking I was going to be so angry about it.
I didn't either.
We didn't even pick it due to the time.
All of this aside, we picked it because it was a cute Kevin Kline film.
Yes, we have a list.
We literally could have done In and Out.
Yes, so we have a whole list, guys. When we joke around about a list, no, we're not kidding. There's at least 50 movies on this list at this moment, and we add daily.
I have an Excel sheet.
Yeah, so we add to it daily. And we literally both picked 2 movies and said, okay, well, which one should we do over the next couple weeks? And Dave was one of them because we're both like, I remember Dave. That was a good movie.
It was cute. It was funny. That's what
we were thinking. And we didn't even pick it, like the timeline. It wasn't like we were looking ahead and going, well, we need to do this one at this time, due to the presidential election, blah, blah, blah. No, we literally just said, okay, well, we're going to do Moonstruck and we're going to do A Knight's Tale. We're going to do Dave. And that's the order. We didn't pick it in any specific order. We don't know which our next 2 movies are going to be because we haven't discussed it yet. So this is the tail end of, where we are in our list, but it had nothing to do with the time. And it was so freaking relevant. And it almost makes me kind of nauseous in a certain way.
Even going into it today, even starting it up this morning, I did not have it in my head that this was going to be the issue I was going to have.
No, I didn't either. And yeah.
And I guess that's good because movies should make you feel something, but I didn't expect this.
No, because this is a movie we both had good, happy feelings about.
I love Kevin Kline.
I do love Kevin.
I love the people that are in the film. The problem is the story.
The story.
The story is what gets you. It's not Dave. Dave is perfectly fine. Individual characters in this film are individually fine. We need a bad guy, so Bob Alexander fits that mold.
Yep.
We need someone for Dave to fall in love with. So, of course, we're going to have Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Mitchell, who is going to fall in love. Spoilers. So, we have these setups. We have Ving Rhames, who is the
best Secret Service agent ever. He's the only Secret Service.
He's the only Secret Service guy in the entire film, but he's the only one with
And we have Ben Kingsley.
Right, the vice president.
I mean, Nance, right? Which is kind of screwy.
Right. Nance, yeah.
Huh, yeah. So, where do I go down my rabbit hole?
So, when we talk about these things, I honestly did not have that feeling. I didn't go into watching this today thinking I was going to have this reaction. But I had this very stark reaction that is diametrically opposed to the first time I watched this film.
Oh, no, definitely.
It was Kevin Kline. It was cute. He sang Oklahoma. I love Kevin Kline. He's such a... I don't know if he's a good guy.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't know him personally.
I don't know him personally either, but I'd like to believe Kevin Kline is a good guy.
I have to believe he's a good guy because I love Kevin Kline.
I don't want to know too much about Kevin Kline.
Right.
Don't tell us, please.
I love the movies he's in. I love the things he does. I love the characters he plays. Fish Odor and Bob's Burgers.
Mm-hmm. It's on my list of things he's done. Mr. Fish Odor.
So I'm going completely out of order and I'm not even following our format. But I'm just...
This movie frustrated us in a way that and what's funny is we didn't discuss this beforehand.
No.
We literally, when we do these podcasts, we turn off the movie, we come into the pod lab, we start putting our stuff together. Are we calling it
the pod lab?
I don't know what we're calling it.
It's just the office.
It's literally an office in our house with, chairs.
So what are we calling it?
I don't know. What should we call it?
Don't call it the pod lab.
I know, that's a joke I stole from another podcast, so I will stop doing that. I love you ladies. But I won't do that. No, I don't know. We'll figure it out later.
The pea pod?
The pea pod. It's the pea pod. Yes, it is the pea pod.
So we're in the pea pod, and we are not expecting to even start talking about this in this way, but I guess we both have been holding it in.
Yeah.
We sat on the couch, we watched the movie.
We'll make like little jokey comments at each other, but we don't like to give away too many things because we don't want to blow it for when we come
We don't want to pre-discuss.
Yeah, so... We had no idea. We write our own notes. We don't discuss our notes. The only time we'll ask questions is like, well, did you do this? Or do you have this? Or little tiny things that are not necessarily big.
But we sat down in the seats.
And then the cat came in. But yes.
But we sat down in the seats and immediately we both had the same thought.
And it's funny because I could see the look of surprise on your face when I started with my disappointment.
I was surprised because I knew you felt it because we obviously, 1993, obviously not that polarizing for a bunch of younger adults.
No. I mean,
we were younger adults who were fairly privileged.
Yes.
Being white, being able to hide who we are.
I mean, I could tell you where I was. I mean, I remember because we had it was like right before or right after. Yeah, it was before. It was right. It was after. I'm sorry, I can't speak today. It was after the election with Clinton. So Clinton was president, and I was political in the sense that like the LA riots had just happened, and the appalling forethought, like of seeing this happening, and then I was moving to California like not too long thereafter. Yeah, I think that was the extent of my politics was the black and white, literally the black and white of the world, and not seeing and understanding the hatred that was going on during that time because I was insular in my little world in New Jersey where, I grew up in a pretty diverse area and went to school in a rich town, in a rich high school, but I didn't grow up in that town. So when I was younger, we were in a more mixed town. So seeing that hatred, going to California and then having the polar black and white politics, it's literally in my face. And I didn't understand. I still don't understand hatred.
There was a lot going on then.
There's a lot
going on now. And the thing is, you can't take a back seat to it anymore.
No.
You have to take a position. And that's okay for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking a position. I've chosen to take that position.
And I didn't have a position. I stayed neutral when I was younger. Because again, out of fear and out of and lack of knowledge.
I took my position as a neutral position because I wasn't out yet.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't out. I didn't want to cause waves because I don't want to be outed. You don't want to be recognized as who you are when you're in the closet. Yeah.
And no one wants to be friends with that white person who says, "I've got black friends."
Yeah, right.
No one wants to be that, friends with that person. You don't want to be that person either.
If you're in the closet, you don't want to say you're part of the LGBTQ. You're not part of a community when you're in the closet. You're in the closet.
Yeah.
The only person you have is you and some coat hangers.
Yeah.
So there was nothing there to bind you to anything. And I think for both of us for different reasons. But now this movie is frustrating and it Well, there are parts I still really like.
Mm-hmm.
I could keep railing against this,
Oh, no.
but I think we should go through it and we'll pick it apart piece by piece as we go.
Yes. So
not that I don't hate the movie.
No, I still love the movie.
I still like this movie. I think it's very endearing.
And I think maybe if we can survive the next decade of our political climate, then, it might be an even better movie then, because it'll give us hope that things can change.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Possibly. Yeah.
So this movie does star Kevin Kline. Kevin Delaney Kline, who is married to Phoebe Cates.
Always throws me off.
Throws me off. I think they may have met in, there was a movie they did together and I didn't write it down. I couldn't pick 3 movies, y'all. I usually pick 3 movies for each person. Some of them I couldn't pick even that many because there's so many. But with Kevin Kline, I picked my favorite. So yes, I did Bob's Burgers. Mr. Fish Odor, who I love on a visceral level. Midsummer Night's Dream. I forgot he was in a Midsummer Night's Dream. He was in, my weirdly favorite Will Smith movie, Wild Wild West. He also played, his character played President Ulysses S. Grant, so I forgot. He was in both the movie and the TV production of The Pirates of Penzance.
Right.
As the Pirate King. Of course, In and Out. One that I think might be on your list, The Prairie Home Companion.
Right.
And
The Big Chill.
The Big Chill I didn't put in there because I didn't want to go with obvious
Sorry,
stuff.
I was looking it up
That's what he did with Phoebe?
That's where they auditioned, and it was not Love at First Sight.
So
7 years later.
Yeah. And I put Soap Dish because I love Soap Dish. I love that stupid movie. But he was also a voice, and this is, there's a reason why I'm pointing this one out. He was a voice in the movie The Tale of Despereaux. We have Sigourney Weaver, who plays the president's wife. And she was also in Annie Hall. She was in the Alien franchise.
Right.
My favorite.
As Ellen Ripley, which is funny because Ellen Mitchell,
Ellen Ripley. She was in, I'm saving my favorite movie for last. Oh God, I've got 2 good ones with her too. She was in Holes, which I freaking love, Holes.
Working Girl.
She was in Working Girl. I did not put that on my list because then I wanted to sing a song from Bob's Burgers again. Galaxy Quest, who is with one of my least favorite actors and one of my most favorite actors.
True enough. And Gorillas in the Mist.
And that's my favorite movie.
Oh, is it?
But yes, but I have another one who she once again played with one of my favorite actors. And it's a good movie. It's an obscure movie. You know me, I love my obscure movies, especially if they're, Mr. Rickman movies. Snowcake. She plays an autistic woman. A high-functioning autistic woman.
Oh, yes, I know that one, yes.
And a man who is grieving a very, very bad car crash. And it is such a good movie. So the Bob Alexander is played by Frank Langella? I'm not sure. Langella? Okay.
I don't know.
I wasn't sure.
Frank.
Okay.
Ask him.
Okay, so he was in The Ninth Gate with Johnny Depp, which I actually do love that movie. It's a freaky, weird movie. He was in Body of Evidence. Oh, wait. Oh, Sigourney Weaver was also in Tales of Despereaux.
Yes.
Okay. He was in a Madonna movie, Body of Evidence, which is the Madonna version of Sharon Stone movie, Lost at Thought.
Basic Instinct.
Basic Instinct, yeah. He was in Small Soldiers.
Right.
And my favorite, the movie's not my favorite, but my favorite on this list of things to say out loud verbally. He was Skeletor in Masters of the Universe. And that is hysterical to me.
Somebody had to do it.
Someone had to do it. Okay, so then we had Kevin Dunn. Oh, and also Frank was in Tales of Despereaux, because why not? Kevin Dunn was in A League of Their Own, A Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon, and Small Soldiers. So it seems like a lot of the actors had a lot of overlap.
Small Soldiers, huh?
So Ving Rhames. We have Pulp Fiction. We have one of my favorites, freaky movie, Jacob's Ladder. Really good movie. We should do that if we do a freaky movie. And he was the voice of Bubbles in Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, he's also in the Mission Impossible, which
I didn't
I've
want to
never
do that.
seen that. And he did Don King, only in America.
And then we have Ben Kingsley, who I really had a hard time picking movies for him, only because Ben Kingsley is an amazing actor. And he has done movies where he plays these characters like Gandhi and Moses. And he's all these like deep religious characters. And he was in Schindler's List and Rules of Engagement. But he was also the Mandarin.
In Iron Man 3.
So, now
no, but he wasn't the Mandarin. He was
he was Trevor Slattery, yeah.
Yeah, he was portraying the Mandarin as a stand-in, just like Dave did.
That's funny. So I did not. Now Charles Grodin has a small part in this movie. He is Kevin Kline's friend, Dave's friend, who helps him budget and stuff like that.
Who's doing a passable impersonation of Jim in The Office.
I know, and I didn't write anything down for Charles Grodin, and I feel kind of bad about it. But I also
he was in The Heartbreak Kid.
Okay.
These are all like really older films.
Yeah.
So The Heartbreak Kid in 1972. He did Midnight Run, which is 88.
Mm-hmm.
And Beethoven, the Beethoven series.
Oh, the Beethoven series. I was going to write that. I was going to go, yeah, but no.
He also hosted his own show.
He did?
Yeah, the Charles Grodin Show.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of these, and again, with a lot of these actors, they did between movies and TV. I mean, literally, Ben Kingsley, it had said, has starred in over 100 films. I'm like, well, heck, how do you pick? But yeah, I mean, I think
you pick by just picking a few that you know. I try to pick ones I know that I have seen.
Well, yeah, or ones that like mean something specifically to me.
If I haven't seen them, it probably doesn't mean much to me.
True that. Well, I know like a lot of people will put, they can list movies that they've. I mean, there are movies on here that I haven't seen, but I know that they're popular.
Well, like Kevin Dunn did Veep, but I haven't seen that series, so I'm not going to mention it.
Well,
although I just mentioned it, so shame on me. I'm
trying to think if there's I've never seen Annie Hall, guys. I'm sorry. I'll put it on my list. I know it's a good movie. But, there's movies where I will, maybe not in this group, but sometimes I'll put movies on that I know are popular, but aren't not necessarily ones I've seen. I have actually not seen a lot.
There are a lot of cameos in this.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about senators. We got Tom Harkin, Chris Dodd, the former first Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill, Paul Simon, the senator, not the musician.
Yes.
Alan Simpson. There's a lot in here. So we could go through them all. It doesn't make much sense to do that. They're cameos.
So many, yeah.
And this is a political movie with a DC register on it. So, of course, they're going to try to have some people in there.
There was one who wanted to be in, he was asked to be in the movie. And honestly, I didn't write his name down. And he backed out because of Warner Brothers backing Ice-T. And then when that all went down, he wanted back in the movie. And Ivan Reitman basically told him to fuck off.
There you go.
So yeah, it's got a huge cast, and I did find out that even though they do work, the set in the movie has been featured in many other TV shows and movies that featured the White House, but it was not used in the West Wing.
Let's not make a part 2 of Dave.
No.
Because we will get very invested in all the minutia, and this isn't a review.
No.
Again, this is about our emotional takes on the movie.
We were very emotional with A Knight's Tale.
It's true. No, it's true. But we can also
we were
down
more,
a little bit for Dave. Okay?
We were more passionate about that topic, I think.
True. So, Dave is a political comedy. Therefore, it is set in a political area. Mm-hmm. But where we open is outside of that.
Yes.
Small town. And it is Dave riding a pig. And he is pretending to be the president, but not for official function, as an impersonator opening, was it a car?
A car dealership? I think so.
And he's riding a pig to the podium.
Yes. And the kid goes to his mom, is that the real president? And mom's like, I hope the hell not.
So what you're getting from Dave's production here, in which he's silly, very elaborate
Mm-hmm.
in his responses.
He's
Very
a
outgoing.
caricature of the president.
Right. He's very outgoing. He's very much a caricature. And then you see the president, Bill Mitchell,
Mm-hmm.
in his actual incarnation, or William Mitchell, sorry.
Yes.
I just
Shortened his name.
shortened his name up. Called him Billy.
Billy.
Me and Billy, we go way back.
Woohoo!
So William Mitchell is being very presidential in a lot of ways, including stooping his secretary.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's just a staffer of some kind.
Yeah.
Laura Linney.
Laura Linney.
Not actually Laura Linney, but the character she
character
portrays.
portrayed by Laura Linney. And yeah, and he has a stroke
On top of her.
on top of her. Because, as you do.
Which leads into, so when Dave comes home, he
Well, actually, he meets let's back it up a minute.
Okay.
They need somebody who looks like the president. Right? Because that's
Right.
how he meets Dave. And so, get somebody who's...
It's true. They need someone to pretend to be the president so that the president can stoop the intern.
And apparently,
or staffer.
whoever they had the last time didn't do a good job. So he makes a comment about make sure he looks better than the last one, who apparently maybe didn't look 100% like him. But since, Kevin Kline plays both Dave and Bill...
Yeah, it's pretty easy sell.
It's easy, yeah. So
Dwayne, the rock... No, sorry. It's just Dwayne, the Secret Service agent.
Yes. Or Ving Rhames.
With the only other Secret Service person in the entire world, and he is, as far as I know, unnamed.
Yes.
Go to Dave's house.
Yes.
And while they're doing that, Dave is coming home. You see that he has been working at a temp service.
He
runs a temp service.
And he was helping this woman find a job. And
he's trying to help people get jobs. That's his passion.
Yes. So they're like, basically, you're coming with us. And
well, he comes in singing Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, yeah.
And he doesn't realize they're in there. So they're already in his house. So the Secret Service has broken into his house and is sitting there in the living room waiting on him.
Mm-hmm.
And they tell him, you're going to do this.
And he doesn't have a choice.
Well, he does have a choice. But he doesn't.
He's a performer. So, I mean...
Well, he's going to do it because the movie has to progress.
Well, yeah, there's that too. But you see that Dave is, while he does work in helping people get jobs, he's a temp service. He does his little side business of being an impersonator. Oh my God, words. So he's not going to turn down a job because he is a performer. They bring him into the White House and they dress him up. They do his hair. They make him, not like he didn't already look like the president, but they, make him have that more silver hair coloring and talk about his mannerisms and things like that. And then that's when he gets to meet the president and he looked briefly. And then he ends...
Where they do the older reflection type thing.
Yeah.
Where they have the two people standing, but they don't touch. They just look at each other.
Yeah, so you know that they filmed it and then spliced,
Right. So it's basically just bookending each other to make it seem seamless.
The Parent Trap.
Right, exactly. It's the Parent Trap scenario. And I'm sure that's the shot they call it now,
Probably. It's the Parent Trap.
Something they do on Nickelodeon, maybe?
So it reminds me of the Bob's Burgers line where they're watching the movie about the twins. And, it's controversial because it takes away jobs from other actresses that might look like them. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So Dave is excited. He's prepping because he just met the president. So he's on a little bit of a high. They take him out as the president is ending his event. The president goes off to do
Laura Linney.
Actually, her name is Randy.
Ooh.
Which is quite Randy, if I must say so. So she is the office secretary, I guess, or whatever, but he's going to see her.
Yes.
And Dave is excited. He gets to play presidential, so he's leading out.
And they said, don't say anything.
Right.
Don't have to say anything.
All he had to do was walk out, get into the car. And he does a big turn, and blesses everyone, I think.
Yeah, God bless America or something like that. Yeah.
And everyone cheers because no one expected that.
No, because this president is quite stoic. And I'm assuming, because we really don't see him in public very much in this movie, so you are under the impression that he just he's not a people person. And Dave is.
Dave is a flamboyant queen.
God bless Kevin Kline.
I think Kevin Kline is playing Kevin Kline as Dave.
I know.
So,
God.
They get into the car. They're heading home.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking him home.
Yes.
He's done. But the president dies on top of
Well, he doesn't
Randy.
die.
Well, he doesn't die. Has a stroke. Massive stroke.
A massive stroke, brain bleed, the whole thing. So he's basically in a vegetative state.
You will not see the reflection thing. You will not see the bookended take anymore.
No.
Because they will not meet again under that circumstance.
Exactly. So they tell him that he has to keep doing this, that it wasn't the one hit walking out of a car thing, that he's going to have to keep pretending.
He thinks they're going to kill him.
Yeah. Because
they turn the car around and he doesn't know where they're going, but then he sees it's going to the White House.
Mm-hmm.
Because Dwayne, the Secret Service guy, is just
Johnson.
staring at him. Just staring at him the whole time.
Yes. And honestly, Ving Rhames is so good in this movie as that one note wonder too, because he does not emote. Even when he likes him, he doesn't emote.
He doesn't emote, but I see that as you can tell that Dwayne, the character Dwayne, warms up.
Oh, yes.
As the movie goes through and as Dave kind of shows who he is,
mm-hmm.
Dwayne starts to mellow towards him. It was the sandwich that did it.
It was that stupid sandwich.
Okay, we'll get to the sandwich.
Okay.
We're not there
you
yet.
know I'm going to jump on that.
I know, but we're not there yet. Calm down. It's okay. The pantry is closed right now. So that's when he meets Bob Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
Who is an asshole.
He is an asshole.
He's your bad guy.
He is the bad guy.
Archetypical bad guy of the film from 1993. That's what they did.
Yeah.
This is Bob. Bad guy.
Bob.
Chief of Staff / bad guy. It's on the door. You can
really?
See.
Yeah. It's on the label. He tells him, once again, he adds more mannerisms. Tells him, you were going to say what we tell you to say. You're going to do what we tell you to do.
Bob and Alan Reed, who is, I guess he's a writer? Is he?
Yeah.
Communications?
Kind of, he reminded me a bit of, what's her face? Oh my God. CJ. Remind me of CJ.
Yeah, but he's not the
but
press
without the being press secretary.
No, he's not the press secretary. He would be more akin to Toby in the in the West Wing.
Not Sam?
No, Sam was under Toby, and there was apparently no staff.
Yeah, there was no staff, guys. Yeah, we don't. Just basically these 3-4 guys ran the country. Which I mean, there was people who came to the staff meetings, like when he did the budget, but still, it was like, where is everyone? There should be a lot of people in the White House.
Toby in the West Wing was the director of communications.
Okay.
I'm assuming, I don't really know because I don't think they ever said the title.
Yeah.
In the film, that Dunn was also that position. So.
Yeah.
Or not Dunn. Sorry, that's his real name.
Yeah, Kevin Dunn is his real name.
Yeah, Alan Reed.
Yeah. So, yeah, and he kind of, they're talking about the spin. So they're going to spin how the president had gotten sick, and he had a stroke, but he's better now. Enter Dave. So that way they don't have to lie about...
This is where they completely circumvent the
25th Amendment
by not notifying immediately the vice president that he is now in charge, because as soon as the president went under, as soon as he was no longer conscious or able, that's when the vice president's taking over. There is no pause on that.
No. So, a little side note really quick. Before the 25th Amendment was in place, a very similar thing happened in 1919, where Woodrow Wilson, he died. And nobody...
Of natural causes.
Yeah. Did he die? I don't think he died. No, I think he had a stroke.
No, he eventually died.
He did eventually die, but I think he had a stroke. I believe he had a stroke, and his wife actually ran the country, and nobody realized.
Right.
So we did have a woman running our country, but she didn't get the notability of it. So Miss Edith Wilson, woman, I don't know how your politics stood, but at least you were the first non-technical female president.
She did a good job.
She did a good job.
I mean, we didn't go under. So.
Yeah, I mean, we kept afloat. But nobody knew. And again, this is obviously before TV, and we couldn't, it wasn't so... It would be very hard to hide that now. Well, the fact that is also the 25th Amendment, but it would also be very hard. So this was before the 25th Amendment.
And extremely illegal.
Extremely illegal.
Circumventing the 25th Amendment is kind of an issue for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just Bob or even Alan. We have a growing number of people who become complicit.
Yes.
In this action.
Yes.
Dave included.
Yes.
And I found myself at this point wondering, I don't remember how Dave got out of this.
I couldn't remember either.
I knew that they did the trade, and we'll go over that.
Yeah.
But I couldn't remember how Dave himself reconciled events at that point to where he was no longer culpable, or at least able to be found. The thing is, even though he got out of it, too many people know the reality of the situation and could have reported him immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Including Bob Alexander, who wasn't dead.
No, and why he didn't.
We can talk about that at the end, because that's where it happens at the end.
Yes.
I keep jumping. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We do that a lot. It's okay. It's what we do. So, yes, he ends up, taking over as the president. And he, like I said, they try to get him to do, especially the mannerisms, and he starts arguing with them about, keeping his hand in his pocket and little minutia like that.
Right.
But they're like, well, no. And he's like, no, you remember this speech? And he starts to recite one of the president's former speeches.
But in this area is when they discuss what to do with the vice president. And what they plan on doing is sending him out to a tour of Africa.
Yes.
A 12-country tour?
Yeah, something like that. But they were also, unbeknownst to Dave, they were going to try to find a scandal on the VP to get rid of him.
They already had a scandal.
Oh, they already had a scandal.
They had a scandal on the president.
They were going to turn it
Bob and the president, Mitchell, both had conducted these illegal things with whatever bank it was, Liberty.
Yeah, something bank, yeah.
And the name of the bank is fictional and unimportant.
Yeah, like First National Bank of America or something stupid like that. Yeah.
Right. So it was Liberty something. But
yeah.
They decide they're going to pin everything on the vice president. Now, I know they keep positioning Alan as a nice guy.
At the end, mostly. Like in the beginning, not so much. Because he's
just as much a part as Bob.
Oh, definitely.
In doing not just that, but he is the one that helped set up the vice president.
Yep. And when we get to the ending, you're going to see that they just kind of gloss over that. Like it's not that important. And they don't. He should be just as culpable as Bob is.
Right.
He knows about it. Anybody who knows about a scandal should be just as, and they don't do anything to prevent the scandal, should be just as culpable.
Right.
Looking at you, presidency.
So they are going to continue this farce in which Dave pretends to be Mitchell. He is discombobulated the first night.
Mm-hmm.
And he steals an ashtray.
He does like to take things.
He's a bit of a klepto.
Yeah.
He takes stuff like as souvenirs. He just grabs stuff. But Dwayne's looking right at him when he steals the ashtray.
Yeah, so he doesn't really like, oh well, he got a lot of those.
So they put him up in Mitchell's room, and he finds out at that point that the First Lady, Ellen Mitchell, is not in the same room, which I guess is good for them, right? Because it'd be weird.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're sleeping with this woman that you haven't even really met.
Mm-hmm.
And she's in the other side of the area there in another room.
Mm-hmm.
And he is in his own room. And that's where you find out that Mitchell is obviously not just cheating on his wife, but they haven't been close in years.
Yeah.
She doesn't even notice that Dave is Dave.
No, not
when she meets him.
Yeah, she starts getting talking to him like he's Bill, and that fuck you.
I do like the fact that they treat her not as unintelligent or unable. She just doesn't spend time around him, and she doesn't want to be there.
Yes.
So they're very quick progressions in and out of the scenario.
Yes.
In which they say very little to each other.
The fact that she is one of the leading people one of the leading actors in the movie, and she really doesn't come in and have a speaking part until almost 30 minutes in. But her character does remind me of Stockard Channing's character in West Wing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So that another very, very strong female, first lady that is independent of the president and has her own life and her own, agenda in a way of what she.
Very different home life.
Definitely. Well, definitely.
Right. But they have that same gravitas.
Yes. Yes.
I hate using that every episode.
But they do. It's a good word. It's a good word.
It's a very good word. There's a lot of gravity to that word.
It is.
Gravitas has its own gravitas.
At least we didn't say anachronism.
I know. You just did. And
Oh,
you ruined it.
Damn it.
I quit this podcast. So, the first lady yells at Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Dave doesn't really know how to react, and you can tell he's kind of like interested in her because...
I mean, she's beautiful.
She's beautiful, and she has a presence. Sigourney Weaver has a presence.
Yeah.
She walks into a room, even if she's just in PJs. First of all, I'll be going, Sigourney Weaver's in our house in PJs.
This is a little weird.
This is awesome. We're going to watch some movies. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to love this. Popcorn's happening. But you're going to stop. You're going to notice because she can't help it.
No.
I think there's no way she can just appear in a room casually.
No.
It doesn't casually happen. She enters a room. Instantly, everyone knows it. It's like Glenn Close. You can't just walk in and no one notice.
Oh, God.
And it's not even about fame. Take all the fame out of it.
Meryl Streep. You notice.
Right. Their mere presence pulls you
Helen Mirren.
to their attention. You cannot get away from it. It's like it is a gravity. They have a specific gravity.
Mm-hmm. I want to be Helen Mirren when I grow up.
I mean, I'd like to be that immortal, sure. So they have this thing where they're going to play with Bob is going to play with Dave in the sense that he is going to use him for his own machinations.
Mm-hmm.
Bob's idea, in a nutshell, is get the vice president out of the way by having him criminally prosecuted.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave has a stroke, pretends to have a stroke, and Mitchell is dead. And that leaves, or incapacitated at the very least.
Yes.
Bob becomes the new vice president and therefore the new president. Seems like, to me...
That's a lot of work. Just run for president, dude.
And he was going to run for president. Isn't that weird?
I know.
Like he had the flyers and everything at his house at the end.
Yeah.
So what was the point of all that? The machinations that you had to go through for that.
I know.
I
mean, I get that him and President Mitchell had a thing. They were both involved in,
criminal enterprise.
Yeah, acts of criminal. But he, I like the acts of criminal.
You have been
criminally acted upon. Whatever.
You have been recognized as acting criminal.
Well, if that was true, then certain people would not be president.
I was a lawyer in junior high.
Oh, in a mock trial. Were you prosecuting the big bad wolf?
Actually,
I was defending him.
I was defending.
So, damn it, I lost my train here. And I think maybe him and Mitchell were kind of BFF, and not in a BFF kind of way, but the fact that they were both involved in the same criminal acts. So maybe that's why. I mean, I don't know. He put in a lot of
But
effort.
it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make
because
any
he's willing
sense.
to run for president, but he was going to do all of this work, also further criminally indicting himself into these activities because circumventing the 25th Amendment, not a light subject at all.
No.
That would be immediate. I mean, there would be some actions happening.
Yeah, that's kind of BS on that part.
And who wants to be president so badly? Oh, yeah.
I
guess if you're a criminal looking for immunity, you would like to do that. So Bob probably had it right all along. Maybe someone saw this film and said, I could probably make Bob work.
Well, I know 2 presidents who have seen this film and enjoyed it. One of them was Bill Clinton, who actually sent a picture of himself to the writer.
Was it above the waist?
Yes, but he was holding a picture of Dave. It's a picture of him drinking from a Dave mug.
I just want to make sure he's not sending dick pics. So.
And also President Obama, who told Kevin Kline that when he gets very, very down, he will watch Dave because it made the job look fun again.
Oh, that's nice.
That's actually sweet.
That's a sweet thing to say.
Yes.
Although, I still have to say there's a lot of corruption in this, so don't care for it.
Fuck yeah.
Don't care for that part of it.
But I think, Obama and, well, I'm not going to put Clinton in that one, but Obama probably realized, that it wasn't realistic.
Oh, yeah, I think he already knew that. Probably better than anyone else.
Probably.
So Dave starts to make changes.
Yes.
Almost immediately. As he's portraying the president, he does small things that are leading one to believe that this might not be the president. Well, and Bob is getting a little freaked out and a little bit pissed, mostly just pissed about it.
Yes. So they make him go out and do some promotional stuff with his not quite wife. And one of them is to go to a homeless shelter. Dave is very surprised by how many children are in this homeless shelter.
With no parents.
And the parents were, as Sigourney Weaver's character points out, probably still out on the streets or working. And it's kind of convoluted once again, but it's a really nice kind of a setup they had going on there. And they were talking about how the kids don't have very good communication skills, and there was a woman sitting with a bunch of kids, and they were going doing these like flashcard picture things,
really promotional things
definitely
for the president to stand around.
And there's a little boy off to the side, and Dave goes over and talks to him, and the cameras start to follow him, and he's like, eyes back off. And he does a little magic trick with him. And the little boy just doesn't want to be a part of the group. And, that it's a hard life being homeless. And, it's hard to want to be a part of it.
And Ellen, who's watching all this happen behind Dave, as President Mitchell, she's starting to wonder what the hell is happening. And you can tell she's endeared to the way that Dave is acting. And during this movie, I'd forgotten that she knew about him.
Yeah.
So what it is when she had put it together in the car, because he looked at her knee.
Yes. Well, her slip was showing.
Right. So she put it together. This is not her husband. So the fact is, she wasn't looking at Mitchell and going, oh, he's turning out to be so nice.
No.
She knows who Mitchell is.
No.
She was looking at Dave.
Going, who the hell is this dude?
And saying, this is a nice guy. So during the times that she's doing this, during this sequence, not just at the homeless shelter, but after, when she makes that face, she's not making it at someone she thinks is her husband. She knows he's not.
Yeah.
She just hasn't said anything because she doesn't know what's happening yet. What's actually happening is she's thinking this guy's a nice guy. He's doing things that her husband would not do.
No, and talking to this child and doing little magic tricks to make him smile.
So he is endearing himself to her.
Whether he realizes it, he doesn't even realize he's doing it. He's not doing it to endear her.
Right.
He's just being Dave.
He's just being Dave, and it is and he's also having an effect on Dwayne.
Yeah.
And when they go down into, I don't know, the sub kitchen.
Yeah.
It's a weird place
to. Weird
but anyway,
kitchen.
They're in the kitchen. He's got every available surface of the table filled with meats and cheeses and
fruits and
mustards.
vegetables. And I mean, it was an obscene amount of food. And I get it. They were making a Dagwood and he's making one sandwich. But again, like we said while we were watching it, some people ain't never been poor. You don't put all that food on the counter so it can go bad and get warm.
Dave puts everything out on the table. Of whole chicken.
Oh my God.
I mean, just
a
all
roast
kinds
beef.
of things. It's very weird.
I was watching all the food going,
and he
what?
makes a sandwich and he says something to the effect, to Dwayne, to the effect of, this is going to be a good sandwich. You know, you're going to really enjoy this. And I'm thinking, it's like when you mix all the sodas together.
Oh, yeah.
You just took everything out of the fridge and threw it all together. That's not really a...
I mean, okay, no offense to people who like green olives, but there were green olives on it.
Oh, I love green olives.
I don't.
But I don't think throwing a bunch of whole green olives onto something makes it better.
No, they were sliced. But that's how come I knew they were there.
Sliced or whole doesn't really matter. Throwing a bunch of green olives onto something doesn't make the sandwich better.
I mean,
it just makes it saltier.
It does make it saltier.
So it doesn't. Dwayne does thaw.
Yeah, he eats part. He cuts the sandwich in half and shares it with him.
Right, and Dwayne sits down and stares at him while he eats.
You don't actually see him eat the sandwich, but you like to believe he did afterwards.
Probably afterwards, after Dave was put to sleep. Went to sleep.
And then he bitched because he had to clean off that counter.
Right, because no one puts anything back.
Yeah, goddamn.
They Dagwood and then they walk away.
Oh, damn it, Dagwood.
So, I think that after the homeless shelter, he's in the shower and he's singing.
He's singing.
He's singing. And
he makes his own words to Hail to the Chief.
You see Dave's pasty white butt through the windows. A weird place to put a shower in the middle.
Right in the middle of the room.
Right in the middle with all glass. It's just weird.
You know what other... Oh, God. The movie with Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. And they're both... It's the presidents again. They also put lyrics to Hail to the Chief. What was that movie? Was it called Hail to the Chief? It was one of their last movies together.
I never saw that, so I don't
I never saw it either, but I remember like the ad for it. Was it with I can't even remember who was in it now. But I know they did they put lyrics to Hail to the Chief too. Right. So I thought that was funny.
So yeah, he's singing to that, and Sigourney Weaver, Ellen, marches in very upset because Bob earlier had gone in with a bunch of paperwork into the Oval Office, sat down and started signing William Mitchell's name to these documents, further showing the blatant disregard for the law. And in
these documents that he is signing, it would end up costing...
It was vetoing that bill.
Yeah, and the homeless shelter was going to lose all of its funding.
A very specific bill for a very specific time.
Yes.
Yes. Not just that shelter, but apparently a lot of funding for those shelters.
Yes. So Dave gets all pissed and he's like, I didn't do this, but I'm going to go
after Ellen yells at him while he's in the shower.
Naked.
Standing there. And she says, are you going to turn around? And he turns around. And
she just looks right at his dick.
She knows he's not her husband.
Yeah. She knows.
So she made him turn around. Then she looks down at it, confirming that's not her husband.
That's not Bill's dick.
His goes to the left, yours goes to the right, and has a weird crook. I don't understand.
I was going to make a really bad comment here, but I'm just going to leave that alone.
I kind of put you in that position, didn't I?
Oh my God. Yeah, no. Okay. So, so he goes off to Mr. Alexander and he goes, hey, dude.
After he gets dressed.
Yeah, after he gets dressed, because he's not naked. He's like, the fuck, man? The fuck? Basically, without so many words.
He said, what did we do?
Yeah. And he's like, well, you didn't do anything.
And Bob says, we didn't do anything. You are not in charge. I am.
And, well, Dave was like, ain't having any of that shit.
Bob says, if you can find, and he says it facetiously, if you can find $650 million in the budget, then we'll do it. Otherwise, shut up.
And Dave said, don't test me with a good time. So he went and got his buddy, Charles Groban.
to come to the White House.
Who's freaking out, man. He's like, this isn't good.
I think he's the only realistic person here.
Yeah.
Who, first of all, he knows what's happening and isn't happy about it and doesn't want to be a part of it.
Oh, no.
Number two, when he leaves, he doesn't say a damn word ever because he doesn't want to die.
No. And he keeps saying, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to get, and he's like, I am, you're going to get in trouble. And he's like, with who? The government. I am the government. It's like, technically you're right, but technically you're not. That is such a double-edged sword right there that you are playing with. So, Charles Grodin helps him. He does help him.
He's an accountant, so he can help him with the budget of the United States.
So you see, you see Dave skippity-doo-dying all the way to the meeting that he's going to with his pen and paper, and he kind of commandeers the meeting. He does not follow whatever agenda they had planned.
Right, and he's realizing that he has power because Bob, who tries to interrupt the process, can't do that without outing what's happening.
Mm-hmm. So he could basically say, no, we're going to talk about this now. And he can't, derail the...
He can't gainsay him, so...
Nope.
Dave does, through the wizardry of naivete of writers...
Yes, because we cannot make financial changes like that without... Because he says we're going to cut some inconsequential blah, blah, blahs, and you can't do that without, we've
There's
all
a lot
watched.
of oversight committees. There are a lot of things that just can't happen by saying something at a desk.
Yeah, we've all watched Schoolhouse Rock, and if you haven't, you need to. And I think maybe a few people who are currently in politics need to watch some Schoolhouse Rock.
Maybe watch it twice.
Well, yeah.
Have someone explain it to
I have the videos all in them.
Right. So he sits down and he balances... He doesn't balance the budget. He finds $650 million, $656 million in the budget so that thing that's already been vetoed can go through the bill.
Yes.
And Ellen loves him.
Because he saved her shelter.
Right. That's when she confronts him about who he is.
Yeah, because she's like, Bill would never have done this. So
do you remember... being on some board or something.
Yeah, when you ran for blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, yeah, no, I remember that. And she's like, no, you did not, because you did not do that. Well,
she didn't say it that way.
No,
she
I know
you never did that.
Yeah, you didn't do that. So,
and she's like letting him know, I know you're not him.
Mm-hmm.
I know my husband's dick. So does Laura Linney.
So does Laura Linney.
Frankly, everyone knows his dick. It's been everywhere.
Yeah, well.
Bob knows it well.
Ew. Ew, Bob. That's really the whole ew with that factor. It's just Bob, ew. And not even Frank. I'm talking about Bob.
That's okay. Alan had nothing to do with it. You okay?
Yeah, I couldn't keep that cough in any longer. Sorry.
Alan had nothing to do with it.
Alan had nothing to do with it. No, he never does. He's the Switzerland in their situation, even though he knows everything.
So Ellen and Dave start to grow closer.
Yes.
In a way, because she's going to leave.
Mm-hmm. And
she realizes she says, I don't know him that well anymore, but where is my husband?
And they take her to see him.
In the
depths,
basement,
bowels of the White House.
With a very... I've never seen a nurse's uniform look so nurse, and it's like got the oversized hat.
Oh yeah,
it is very Fortnite looking.
I mean, so weird, and
it's a surreal version of a nurse's outfit.
And he's basically in a bomb shelter,
right?
Yeah, and his blips and beeps and that's basically
he's hooked up to equipment and. There he is lying there in this very stark room.
Yeah.
Concrete room. And she sees him, and that's when she starts packing.
Yeah. And she's like, I can't stay because I'm, obviously not the president's wife anymore. I mean, I'm not the first lady anymore.
I have to leave.
And Dave kind of convinces her.
Well, he says, where are you going to go? And she says, I don't know. And she realizes he has a bag packed as well. He didn't even come there with anything. He is stealing.
He's been towels and bathrobes and his slippers.
He has klept so much stuff. He's got a presidential duffel bag that he stole as well in order to carry it all.
Yeah. And so I want to take a little like sidetrack. So think of Dave. Picture Dave in your face, in your head, in your
In my
mind,
face?
in your face. Picture his face.
I'm picturing Dave in my face right now. We are kissing deeply. No, sorry.
Picture Dave's face in your head is what I was going to say.
Okay.
So these are the actors who were, well, these were the actors who turned it down and the actors who were considered.
Okay.
Warren Beatty.
I can see that.
Kevin Costner. Not Costner. Costner.
Yeah, I know.
And I know I was being,
Oh, okay.
I was making a Brooklyn Nine-Nine joke.
People, yeah, okay.
Sorry.
No.
Nicolas Cage.
No. I mean, he would be fine if it was maybe a crazy drama.
Yeah.
But not a,
No.
not a lighthearted romp.
Harrison Ford, I can see.
I can see that.
I could totally see Harrison
Ford. It's
Ford.
not his wheelhouse, really, but I can definitely see him doing it.
And I'm gonna make a reference to a movie that I know we have issues with, but in the era of regarding Henry, that's the Harrison Ford I can picture.
I would love to say I even know what that is, but I will never ever try to watch it.
No, but that's about and that's a story for another time. Michael J. Fox, no. I could not picture that.
I could picture it, but I couldn't picture him being the asshole.
No. Well,
he doesn't have
he doesn't have the gravitas.
He's got the boyish charm.
He does.
So I could see him like Doc Hollywood. Ooh, that's another one. Doc Hollywood.
Oh, I love Doc Hollywood.
We can just keep naming off movies. I could see him doing the Dave part.
But not the Bill.
Doing the William Mitchell part.
Mel Gibson. No.
I got problems with him anyway.
I do too.
There are so many reasons. And unfortunately, he's done some really good movies, but no, I can't see him doing it.
Tom Cruise. Ew.
No.
So, I mean, I'm not going to offend a lot of people. I am not a Tom Cruise fan.
But I can't see him playing two different people.
No.
He would play two different people, but they'd be the same person, and that's all there would be.
So the only Tom Cruise movie that I like is Far and Away with Nicole Kidman, and I love that movie, and that is literally the only Tom Cruise movie.
Risky Business.
Don't even like that one.
I like that one, but I liked it back in 1980.
Yeah, well, that's and Far and Away. Tom Cruise's really bad Irish accent.
Not 1980. I liked him in the 80s.
In the 80s,
Risky Business.
Yeah, and then last but not least, the one actor who I totally could see playing this part, but younger him, not current him, and that would be Tom Hanks.
Oh yeah,
Tom could have pulled that off.
He definitely could have done that. He has got that slapsticky, very Dave. Inner child person.
Yeah.
While still having gravitas when he needs it. He could pull that out when he needs to.
Oh, definitely. But yeah, so that was my little side venture onto other actors who...
The last one.
Tom Cruise. I think Harrison
Tom
Ford
Hanks
and Tom Hanks. Yeah. Those were... And Warren Beatty. But... I even Warren Beatty, I have kind of a harder time picturing in that part.
If you picture Warren Beatty in more the Heaven Can Wait.
And not the Dick Tracy.
Right.
I think I'm picturing them older.
Yeah, but if you picture him in the Heaven Can Wait, another good movie, which is silly, obviously, but still a good movie, I think that he definitely could have fit into that so easily because he has a boyish charm.
Yeah.
But he also has... he can go regal when he needs to.
And I don't see Kevin Costner playing the funny Dave
He just doesn't
part.
have...
He can do the Bill part because, we've all seen The Bodyguard. I love The Bodyguard. Got to add it to the list.
He can do serious.
Yeah.
But he just can't do that.
No.
He can't do Dave. He can't be Dave.
No. So that was, that was my little side venture.
And I bet he turned it down anyway.
He was one of the ones who turned it down.
Yeah.
So it was Warren Beatty, Kevin Costner, and Nick Cage all turned it down.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
So he talks to Ellen.
Right.
And they
elope.
Well, in a way, they don't literally marry elope, but they do elope from the White House because
Right,
I do
they
use that
elope.
term a lot in my daily life. So
They leave.
They leave. They use a secret tunnel,
Tunnel,
secret tunnel, and they Ving Rhames, the only secret agent, or sorry, not secret agent, Secret Service agent in the White House, leaves a car for them because that would happen. Because the president's not allowed to drive.
And a team does not escort him everywhere he goes outside of the
Yeah, because that,
White
again,
House.
none of this is true and legitimate. So they go on a little driving adventure.
Right.
And they go to, or they're going to the store, right? To go buy stuff to make a sandwich.
Well, I don't know that they knew exactly where they wanted to go. They were leaving.
They were leaving.
They were leaving. But the thing is, they got to talking and they decide kind of at the same time, we can make a difference.
Yeah.
So they get the stuff to make sandwiches and they put it out all over the ground. It's all
Well, first they get pulled over by some cops.
Right. They get pulled over.
And the cops are like, that, like you went left in a left turn area and
you just blew right through it.
Yeah.
And because you're white, we're just going to have you sing for us and we'll let you leave.
But then, they don't recognize him right away because they see his license and they don't recognize him, but they recognize her. But Dave goes, "Oh, no, we're celebrity impersonators." And then they sing, you are my sunshine? No, the sun will come out tomorrow.
Sun will come out, yeah.
And they don't
tomorrow,
do it
yeah.
well. They don't. Well, she doesn't do it well.
He does pretty well. He does a fish odor voice,
yeah,
which is funny.
And she does this weird soprano-y thing, which was a little off-putting. But it's,
And
either
Sigourney
coming...
Weaver can sing.
But they were just doing it like, obviously the First
Ellen
Lady.
cannot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, again, supernatural reference, Jensen can sing, Dean Winchester cannot.
So the cops leave them to their own devices,
Mm-hmm.
and they go get sandwich making material.
Sandwiches.
They spread it across the hillside.
Yes.
To make this dagwood. No.
No.
They make little sandwiches.
And they talk about, life, the universe, and everything, and how they're going to make
sitting overlooking the city.
And they're going to make a change.
And they decide they can do this.
Yeah.
So they go back.
Yes.
Which I'm sure Dwayne is very happy about because he went through the trouble of getting them a damn car.
And they didn't go back the way they came out.
No, they
go right through the front gate.
Right.
Confusing everybody.
With the car that Dwayne obviously took all the trouble to set up to make it clean for them so they can get away. Now he's got to answer for that.
Yeah, so now you're getting somebody else into trouble.
Is there not a staff on hand? There are different levels to Secret Service. Not everybody is just in charge of themselves.
Yeah, I mean...
They have people they answer to.
Well, even like with Dwayne, when he's like, you get this person in here, and he's like, okay, I'll call him in. And you're like, okay, but that's not his job.
Yeah, he was told to call Bob and Alan in, and he's like, okay. And I'm like, wait, you have staff for that. Secret Service is there to protect you, not do your clothes or polish your car, whatever it is you're trying to do.
Dave decides he's going to fire Bob. Because Bob's a dick.
I have to say, it's a very abrupt.
It was very abrupt. And honestly, because I had not seen the movie in many, 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 many years, I was sitting there going, shit, he fired Bob. Where'd that come from? I don't remember this conversation. Like, what led up to this,
Yeah, it's so abrupt that you kind of forget that it happened. But as soon as he, came into the office...
You're like, oh, shit.
And was giving him shit, I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot he fires Bob.
Yeah, Bob's a dick. So Bob gets fired. Basically, don't touch anything on my desk, but leave your letter there of resignation.
Because Ellen comes in and shows that she is in full support of her quote unquote husband.
Yes, and so Bob is pissed.
I didn't put the quotes around husband. I put it in front of.
Oh, well, I got
both
that.
of them.
Okay, so
quote,
Bob's
husband end quote. There we go.
Pissed. He is very pissed. And he's like, well, now, if I'm going down, I'm taking everybody fucking with me.
Well, no, he's going to take everybody down while he stays on top.
Yes.
He's still going to become president. He's just going to run for it now.
Yeah. But Vance comes back. Not Vance, sorry, Nance. Right? Nance.
Yes.
Ugh. Nance comes back. So,
Gary Nance.
So, FDR actually had a vice president named John Nance Garner. And he was quoted as once saying that the job wasn't worth a pitcher of warm piss.
Turns out it is worth it, but you don't know what to do with it when they give it to you.
Yeah.
Like, you've got this pitcher full of warm piss, and you're like, now what?
Is it piss? Is it your piss? I ain't drinking it. Don't lick it.
I think this is just, I'm going to pour it down the toilet, but I'm not sure this is part of the job.
Can the plumbing handle it?
I think that people have a misconception of the office of vice president, and they don't really understand what it involves. But I think now they're starting to.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I think people are more politically conscious, whether it's good or bad in their cases.
Yeah.
They are more aware of the offices of the presidency, the vice presidency. Even if they're misinformed of them, a lot of times they know what's going on now.
Mm-hmm. And I think in the history books tend to forget the VPs. So we don't really know how much they did in the past as opposed to how much they do now or what they're involved in. So again, that's something I think the history books definitely neglect. But
so Bob knows that
knows.
Ellen is in cahoots with Dave now.
Yes. And then Nance comes back from Africa with presents. And they basically, him and Dave start talking.
Right.
And he's like, I know we don't usually get along. And Dave is like, I think you're pretty cool, dude. I know he doesn't, but
he asks him, how did you get started in this? And he doesn't know he's talking to the stand-in.
No.
Vice President Nance, thinks he's still talking to Mitchell.
Yeah. And they start talking about that and how he got his start in politics and how
he was a shoe salesman.
Yes. And when he turns it around and asks who he thinks is Mitchell, he goes, pretty much the same. Started out in not in any political way affiliated and kind of got sucked into it.
I'm not going to cut this because it's adorable, but the cat is purring into the mic.
He is purring into the mic. He's my buddy.
He's nowhere near the mic, but he's purring so loudly that we can hear it.
Yeah, he's curled up in a ball, sleeping on my lap. And
we're just going to deal with the purr. Enjoy the purr, people.
Yeah, he's my happy guy.
So yeah, Nance... I'm afraid of waking him up. Nance tells his story. Dave appreciates that he's not just, as Bob said, a Boy Scout. He is a genuinely good guy who cares about the country and the people.
Yeah, he takes his position as VP serious, and he's proud of it.
In a very grounded way. He has no airs about his position. He just wants to do an honest job.
Does he? I don't remember. Did he already know about the scandals against him, or was he? Because that was what they were questioning.
He did when Mitchell came into the Oval Office and Nance was standing at the desk waiting for him to arrive. When they greet each other, he does say, "What's happening? Why am I being?"
Oh yeah. So
and Dave says, "I'm going to take care of this."
Yes, because Dave is the man. And so there starts the beginning of, I guess, they start to conspire, mostly Ellen and Dave, about...
Well, because Nance still doesn't know. And if Nance did know, being the upright person he was, he would have reported it, because that's a coup. Yeah. They just took over the government. Yeah. And the rightful president at that time was the vice president. Yeah. Nance himself.
This really makes me want to watch Moon Over Parador.
Which I think would be easier to watch because it is not our country. Exactly. It is a fictional country. Yeah. In which you can really just appreciate the comedy of it. And also, I don't know, you see a man finding himself.
Yes, definitely finding himself as opposed to hiding.
Right. And I think that Dave is already a fully realized... That's the difference. Mm-hmm. Dave is already a fully realized human. Yes. He is not coming into this to become more of what he is. Yeah. He finds another job afterwards. He adds on to his job. Yeah. But he is still a fully realized human who has gone through tragedy, has gone through different things. He has lost a wife. Yeah. at one point, and they don't really go into that.
No,
which is
just,
good.
Yeah, he said it didn't work out.
Yeah, it didn't work out. So either she died or they got divorced.
Yeah,
Don't know.
Where the Richard Dreyfuss character in Moon Over Parador is an actor kind of down on his luck, and he's screwed up, and he finds himself through pretending to be the dictator.
Right.
And so, yeah, there's a lot of similarities, but there's a big fat difference. And again,
the differences aren't semantic. The differences are nuanced.
I feel like our next movie should be either Moon Over Parador or a Kevin Kline palette cleanser and do In and Out.
Ooh, In and Out. Definitely In and Out. I'm good with that.
I think we need
In and Out next, I guess. So we just announced that.
I guess we are. It's either one or the other. It was going to be a palette cleanser of one, either one to clean our brains.
I remember loving that movie, but now I don't know if I'm going to get frustrated.
Oh, no.
I don't know if that's going to be an issue.
Oh, no. Well,
but that's
and if we don't do In and Out, well, you'll know we had a conversation about it.
No, we'll do it.
Okay.
Because I think we should have those conversations.
Okay.
We shouldn't avoid the conversations.
That's true.
This is the whole purpose we're doing this podcast.
I avoid movies that make me cry. So that's going to be a hard thing.
But we should have the conversations. We should cry when it needs to be done.
I don't like to cry in movies. That's why I've never seen the movie Beaches, because someone told me how it ends and I knew I would cry.
I've never seen it.
And there's certain movies, I can't watch if I know I'm going to cry. Like, I don't want to cry, and I want to do The Color Purple, but I know it'll make me cry. And I love that movie so much, but it breaks me.
No, I get that. I understand that.
So,
I saw it. I had reactions to it, but we'll go through that if we ever see it.
Yeah.
So Dave goes in as Mitchell to give a speech.
Mm-hmm.
And it's televised and everything, and he is before his peers, and he has Nance behind him.
So keep in mind, Bob, in his sense of retaliation, is now not just blaming Nance for this scandal, but he's also blaming William Mitchell. William Mitchell. And when Dave is going to give this speech. Before
that, though, Ellen's that night, I guess they're standing at the balcony, which there's a lot of balcony standing for a president.
It's weird.
A lot of people taking pot shots at you if you
I know.
That. But she says to him, "I don't want to lose you."
And
I was like, I don't remember what happens at this point. I just honestly didn't remember. But that's when, yes, they're having the meeting. He goes and he takes a big briefcase with him.
Yep.
Or an attaché case. And he says, "I did it. It was all me, not Nance at all."
But it was Bob.
And I've got the proof.
And Bob.
Right
and Bob
here.
did other stuff too.
Right. And he pulls out all this paperwork out of the briefcase that Alan had given him.
Yes.
So Alan stays clean in all of this, which is kind of weird.
I guess that's how he stayed clean, by turning over evidence, which was stupid because that's not how that works. But
he's not turning over evidence to a legal body.
That's what I'm saying. It's not how that works.
To Dave, and if I could get rid of criminal prosecution by turning over evidence to Dave,
I'd go find Kevin Kline myself.
Right.
Coming at you, Kevin.
We have things to give you. So he does the big speech. He says how much he cares and everything. And he says to Nance that I'm so sorry. And they shake hands.
Yeah.
And he says, "I did it. It was all me." And then he has a heart attack.
Yeah. A stroke. Stroke number. Yeah. Well, yeah, it was weird. Yeah, it was a heart attack.
Dave pretends to pass out.
Yes, because he's an actor.
He's very professional.
Very.
And they put him in the ambulance, and you see that he goes to the hospital. Very long drive because it goes dark.
There's a helicopter involved, which we don't know why. There's an ambulance. There's motorcycles. I mean, it's a whole entourage.
Everything else I understand. I just don't understand the helicopter at that point.
Yeah.
But they get there, and Mitchell is wheeled out into the hospital, and you see Dave sitting in the passenger seat because Dwayne comes up and sits down beside him in the driver's seat.
With a hat on, because, that's inconspicuous.
Right. You don't look like the president at all wearing a hat.
And why is the Secret Service agent, I can't say that today, why is the Secret Service agent driving the ambulance?
I don't think he was driving. I think he got in.
Oh, he just got in to talk to him.
Yes. Because he came out of the back of the
ambulance. Yeah. So he does say, one of the last things he says to him is, "I would have died for you."
Right.
I would have taken a bullet for you.
They clasp hands, Ving Rhames.
They hug, they kiss. No, they don't.
Tells him of his undying love. No, he says, I would take a bullet for you. And Dave appreciates that without saying so much.
He does the Incredible Hulk Bruce Banner walking
away.
Off.
Backlit walk away. And Ellen gets out of her car that's following, the limo that's following. And she looks back and sees Dave as he disappears over the horizon with the horse with no name. And that's it for that scenario.
Yeah, and so they, it goes on where the news reporters are discussing what happened to the president, that he passed out and that his heart couldn't handle it, because eventually William Mitchell dies because, they probably just pulled the plug. But in reality, that's probably what happened. But he did.
They pulled the plug so they could advance the movie.
He died. And Nance becomes president, and Bob is basically...
You never see Bob
again. You never see Bob again. And then it goes...
The funny scene of when Dave has the big meeting where he says he's guilty, but so is Bob.
Yeah.
And here's all this stuff.
Oh, yeah, because there were all these people in the room with him.
Watching this speech.
Then they're gone.
And he goes back to him, and, they're planning on this being his election announcement.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's going to run for presidency. He's got his banners up and everything else.
Yeah.
And when it goes back to him after the speech... You see no one there but Bob, so everyone's departed in the space of that time.
Yeah, they're like, fuck you, dude.
Pretty funny scene. I laughed at that.
So it goes and it shows the inside of Kovic's, which is Dave's last name, his temp agency. And it's a campaign location.
Very busy. A lot of people volunteering.
Answering
phones. He's on the phone trying to get someone a job.
Yes.
Because everyone works on Monday.
And then Ellen, wearing a baseball cap, comes in.
Right.
And she is met by his secretary, and she's like, "Are you here to volunteer?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." And she starts to show her how to use the phone lines and stuff, and Dave sees her.
And they do this really deep stare into each other's eyes.
Yes.
He takes her into the office.
His office. It doesn't shut the shades, but the privacy of the office was so much better than the not so... it was...
Yeah, and they do this... Kevin Kline, as Dave, goes in for the kiss, and this really earnest go in, whereas Sigourney Weaver is doing this kissing Bill Murray kind of face. In which she pulls back a little bit. And
maybe that's just how she kisses.
And I think that may be the case. But
because she's done it with Bill Murray now, and we've noticed it with her.
But I also think that people get very earnest to kiss her, and she's just not that type of person.
I don't want this. I don't want this.
Maybe she's that way with her husband. Like, she's very earnest about kissing her husband, but not so much kissing Kevin Kline or other people. And
she has been married to her husband for a very, very long time. So
yeah, she does this little backup thing where... Just watch it. You'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah. She's either a very good wife and just can't get past that, or she just doesn't really want to kiss anybody else.
Just not that into you, dude.
Yeah.
Just not that into you.
But they do a very good, meaningful stare into each other's eyes.
Yes.
They're very good at both of them doing that throughout the film.
Yes. And that's pretty much where the movie leaves.
Right.
Is he's running for an office, like a local district-y type of thing.
Right.
Yeah, and then
I don't think it's so important as to what he's running for.
No, but you know that he's running for something.
He's doing what Nance did.
Yeah, he
decided to take Nance's advice that Nance's wife gave to him, which is you should run for something.
And he has good ideas, and obviously he knew he made a change. Now, granted, he's not going to have the power of a president and to make such huge changes that are technically he's not able to do, but neither here nor there. He's at least thinking that I can make a change.
Everyone that knows about this has to die.
Well, yeah, he looks like the fucking ex-president.
Well, they have to live their entire lives, and then they have to die without ever telling what happened, so that it doesn't completely disrupt the government, because the 25th Amendment was breached. and someone was in the office giving commands, giving vetoes, doing the job, and causing the amount of undoing that would need to be done would be catastrophic.
Just
the short time he was there.
I mean, just because you have someone's face doesn't give you the legality.
And just because you're a good guy doesn't mean you did the right thing. You don't know what else was in the bill. You don't know what else would have happened. All the writers that were in there or anything else. And they can't just say, well, you were a good guy. You were not elected to office.
Exactly.
And that subverts. Again, there's going to be an ongoing thing with me on this film now. I'm not going to get past it.
I know. It's the legality of so many different things.
So how did you feel about the movie? Not how were the politics. Obviously, that's screwed. Let's just say it's fucked.
It's
all
very
the way
fucked.
fucked.
How did I feel? I felt sad and disappointed because 1993, shit. Why does that not feel so long ago and yet feels like forever ago?
Because I don't do linear time.
And I know I'm not trying to put the politics back into it, but we were in a better place. And how messed up is it that 1993 was a better place than we are in 2025?
I have to say we were in a better place for us.
For us.
At that time.
But
not necessarily in a better place for everyone.
But it was hopeful. We were hopeful because things were starting to get better. We were looking at the laws and the bills and the things that were keeping people in the closet and keeping people out of the military and keeping people segregated. We were seeing those things being changed. We were seeing diversity starting to build. Now, it was not perfect. I am so not saying that.
Don't Ask, Don't Tell was not perfect.
It was not perfect. But we were seeing that there was a light somewhere. It was in the distance, but we could see that hope glimmer.
We were seeing some progress in a sluggish government.
See the light anymore. And it's what made me so mad about this movie was there was such a hopefulness that, yeah, our politicians can make changes and even if this dude wasn't a politician, he can take out the corrupt. You can take down the people who are lying and cheating and stealing our government. You can do that if you are caring and you have a heart, because that's what that movie was showing you. And I'm not seeing that anymore. And so for me, it just made me angry and disappointed. That's how I felt. Because it was just so, yeah.
For myself, and I know this is going to be weird, it's not something that I'm prone to. Despite my issues with the sequences of events that lead up to 25th Amendment being subverted, essentially a coup happened. Not essentially, a coup did happen. It was just a silent coup. Despite all that, and despite our current climate, I am hopeful that people are smart enough, people are wise enough individually that they don't lean towards the mob mentality and I know that social media is telling me that that is absolutely the case, that mob mentality rules and that the bad guys are at the door. I'm still hopeful that individuals will make a difference. They'll make a change.
I'm trying to stay that hopeful.
And they have to, because if they don't, that means that for my entire life, I have predicated the idea that people are inherently good. They want to be good people. Even if they don't do it, even if they don't make the right choices and they make the wrong choices and do bad things, they feel bad about it. I believe that people feel bad about the things that they do wrong. And if we take that away, I don't know how I'm going to manage.
I'm with you on that.
I over-empathize.
I do. I get that, and I do too. And I think that's the thing is we're raised to believe that good guys will prevail, and that somebody out there is going to fight for us and fight for what is right and what is good and in the equity that is out that everyone deserves. But when you're seeing it around you and people that you thought had better sense or better heart are incapable, it's just, there's so much that I'm just disappointed in this world right now.
The naivety of the film was annoying.
Mm-hmm.
It was very annoying. Not because in 1993 it was naive.
No.
But because I was naive in 1993 and saw nothing really wrong with this movie.
Yeah.
And the things I see wrong doesn't make it a bad film. The things I see wrong means the times we're living in make this feel worse. And it shouldn't do that.
No,
we shouldn't be in this place.
No, we really shouldn't. We're not supposed to be.
In an effort to avoid soapboxing, which I seem to be doing, how do you think this movie will line up with the Castellini test for femininity in film?
Oh, it will fail.
Right. It will fail.
We don't even have to there's one named female character. Oh, sorry, two. If you count the Laura Linney character, Randy. But they don't talk.
Right, so let's just go through it real quick. The Castellini test is created by Brie Castellini. Go ahead, baby. Tell everybody.
Oh, the news?
We can announce it.
Brie Castellini is going to be on our next podcast.
I know, I'm so excited. Brie Castellini, who is an author, she is a director, she's currently doing indie films. She is going to be on our podcast in the next few episodes.
Yep, she's coming with a movie to discuss.
It'll be actually after this episode, after the Dave episode.
So, yeah, we're excited about that.
I am very excited about this. How I found her test, we'll talk about that. Because it's not even on a website that she uses anymore. It's kind of funny. I did update it in our show notes, so please go there so you can see her updated website. Sorry, the one that was linked was from 2019.
Wow.
Yeah. So the Castellini test is designed to show femininity in film, or at least tongue-in-cheek, therefore. There have been at least 2 named women characters with at least 5 lines of dialogue each. No.
I mean, can you count what Laura Linney says?
Can you count what the woman, I can't remember her name, in the office with the temp agency said?
Yeah, because I don't know her name.
They didn't have 5 lines of dialogue.
No.
Even Ellen barely had 5 lines of dialogue, and none of it was beyond their relationship.
Yeah.
Or at least with her husband.
Yeah.
Those characters must have a conversation. Not necessarily with the other woman. There is no other woman. So...
Does she talk to Dave? Yes. Ellen talks to Dave.
Right.
So
but
if
it's
we want
about their relationship.
Yeah, because it's really, they don't talk about politics per se unless she's yelling at him about the shelter. But otherwise, they don't really talk about politics. They just talk about, you haven't changed, when she thinks it's Bill. Just about their relationship. So yeah.
And there's only one woman, not 2.
Yeah.
At least one of the women has to be integral to the plot. That is not a case. That is,
yeah,
none of this has to be integral to that.
No, because even if Ellen didn't exist, Dave could still have continued other than...
The movie isn't named Ellen.
No, and he would not have... he probably wouldn't have gone to the shelter, but he would have seen the corruptness and he would have tried to do something about it. Because I like to believe that Dave is a good guy.
Dave is the nice guy. He's the archetypical nice guy.
Yeah, so I don't know necessarily if he would have... Right. Yeah, he didn't... I don't think he needed her.
So we're going to add a 4. There's a 4th rule I want to add to it.
Okay.
And maybe we could talk to Brie about that on the next podcast.
Okay.
Is I'd like to add a 4. And it's not going to be common sense because common sense is a fallacy.
Mm-hmm.
But by your supposing, does this still represent a feminist film of equity?
No.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Despite the fact that Ellen is autonomous, she still is reliant upon...
To quote... the song, "It's a Man's World."
Right. And in no case does she have the power to do anything but be the wife of the president.
So the only person of color that I can picture in my head in the film is just the Secret Servant.
Dwayne.
Why can't I say Secret Service agent? Third time, still can't get it right. So the only one you can see is Dwayne. And there are...
staffers.
And in the cabinet meeting, was there a single female person in the cabinet?
Yes, there were a few females, but they had no speaking
lines. Unrelated, there was in the one press conference with Dave when he's talking about getting more jobs for the people.
Right.
The woman, when he's leaving, the woman who stands up and she says, "Thank you, Mr. President." I didn't get her name, but she was actually a real reporter, like staffer, and she had said that, and I don't remember which president, but I just remember reading it, but it didn't write it down, so it wasn't that important. But she literally said that.
So this was like a replay of
that.
She
She literally said, "Thank you, Mr. President," in exactly that way. So
if I'd kept up with politics, I probably would have known.
I saw it, but again, I didn't write it down because at the moment I didn't think it was important.
But I didn't keep up with politics then. I just enough to read the paper so that I could get through things in the military. That was it.
So no, I don't. There's no equity in this movie. There's no diversity. There's barely any diversity in this movie.
It's a cute film. If you take out the politics out of a political film that isn't political, because they have Democrats, they have Republicans, none of them seem to align on anything in particular, except spending is bad, not spending is good. It's really that base.
Yeah.
But if we take actual politics out of it, it is a cute film if you can get past that.
So I would like to suggest us adding another question, not necessarily related to the Castellini, but just a question we should ask. Could this movie be remade in this modern climate? I don't think so. I think that there are too many, I don't want to say social justice warriors because that's kind of degrading, but there are politically savvy people and younger people too that would see through.
It would not be the cute film.
It wouldn't be the cute film
that it was intended to be.
I think people would be creeped out by the fact that she falls in love with a man who looks like her dead husband.
Yeah.
Because he's just like a better version of him.
Yeah.
I think that definitely all of the laws and regulations and rules that they break, there would be no way to remake
it.
Dave.
Is less endearing when you have reality involved in any way.
And right now we are so steeped in political reality, more so than I think
it's not fun.
No.
It's not fun for anyone, even the people who are quote unquote winning. Not even for them is it fun because the discourse is so diametrically opposed to each other.
I don't even think that people who were living their day-to-day life during the Revolutionary War were as politically invested.
Well, they weren't because they didn't have a continual news cycle in their brains.
No.
We have phones, I don't want to go on this Luddite thing because I love technology.
Oh, I mean, newspapers and everything else. There was always something.
There's a point of too much information, and pilots endure this, commercial pilots, but especially military pilots, where there's too much information being fed to them, and they cannot keep up with it.
I can imagine.
And that in itself is an issue for everyday people who are just trying to get through the day. There's too much information and you can't disseminate what is important and what isn't important. So you have to either you learn to do that or you turn off because your brain will turn it off for you.
Oh yeah, I know that. And I get that. And I mean, now in my job, I don't have that constant bit of information at me, but I get a lot of noise at me.
Well, you won't know because when you're on TikTok or when you're on an app, a social media app of any kind, you're inundated with information.
Oh, yeah.
And that information lately, especially in the last 5-6 years, has been political discourse, and it is aiming people to one way or the other. And when you have all these conflicting modes, your brain shuts down.
Well, yeah.
Your brain just disassociates.
And I think that's part of why I sometimes when I come home, I do disassociate from the rest of the world. Because again, I'm having between, the online stuff, when I am home, I'd rather play a game and dissociate from everything. Right. I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news in years. I get my weather from an app because I just can't watch the news. I get overwhelmed by sound, especially in the evening, because all day long, I love my little guys, but some of them are a lot. And one of them has a motorboat sound he makes all day long. All day long. I'm not kidding, y'all. All day long. But that becomes overwhelming when you hear this. And then, just the regular other, autism, severe and profound sound effects and bangs and bops and stuff you're hearing. I get that. But and then you throw the political on top of it. Yeah, my brain says no. And I just can't function sometimes at night.
So this is how we feel about this movie. So where can you find Dave?
You can find Dave. Unfortunately, you cannot stream it for free.
Well, you can probably. We just don't know the way.
We just don't know the way. It's on Amazon Prime for $3.99. It is on Google Play for $3.99. And it is on Fandango at Home for $3.99.
I saw that it's also universally like SD and HD, same price.
Okay.
For the most part. It's even on YouTube for rent.
For rent.
Or buy, I think you could purchase as well, but $3.99 for the rental.
Wow, $3.99 across the board. Across.
It's like price matching or something.
I know.
Which is illegal. No, not. So this has been Once More with Feelings. We are so glad you stayed with us through the political discourse of a cute little film called Dave. With Beth and Michelle. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at OMWFPod. Visit our page at oncemorewithfeelings.podbean.com or send us an email at omwfpod@gmail.com. Take a moment to subscribe and rate us on iTunes and on YouTube.
So until next time, friends. Bye.
Finale at the Talent Club. The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow. I'm okay. There'll be sun. Just thinking about tomorrow. Clears away the cobwebs and the sorrow. Till there's none tomorrow.
I love you tomorrow. It's only a day away.
Bum bum bum. Tomorrow, we love you. Tomorrow, you're only a day away.
Thank you. Thanks. We haven't worked out the final harmonies.
This is a full-time job?
Yeah, lately especially. It's been pretty much full-time.
Well, Mr. Kovic, I'm not going to give you a ticket.
You're not?
I think you ought to save all the money you have.
He's not going to give us a ticket.
Right.
He said we should save all our money.
Thank you.